whatever number it comes to.
1, 2,
4,
5,
6, 7,
8.
9, 10, 11, 12.
Did you know a very famous murder took place about 2 hours from where you are sitting right now? In Douglas O. Leonard's article, The West Memphis Three Trials, an account says, on a warm sunny May day, 3 8-year-old boys set off on a bike ride in their hometown of West Memphis, Arkansas. The next afternoon, their bruised and mutilated, hog-tied, naked bodies were pulled from the stream, setting off an all-out effort to find their murderers. Within a month, the investigators were convinced that they had found these killers, 3 out of the mainstream teenagers who would become known as the West Memphis Three. Because I have lived so close to Memphis my whole life, I'm used to hearing about crime. However, this crime still continues to puzzle investigators even 22 years later. Today I'm going to be informing you about the investigation, trial, and the aftermath of the West Memphis Three case. The investigation of the murder of 3 8-year-old boys, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, began on May 5, 1993, after they were killed. On the evening of May 5, 1993, the West Memphis Police Department received a phone call from a worried parent, John Mark Byers, following phone calls from 2 other worried parents. On the evening of May 5th, Christopher Byers was last seen around 5:30 riding around the yard. Michael Moore was last seen riding bikes with 2 of his friends, and Stevie Branch hadn't been seen since he left for school. The search of Robin Hood Hills began, which turned up nothing for that night. The morning, Chief Inspector Gary Gitchell went searching for the boys. Early afternoon, Steve Jones, a juvenile officer, spotted black tennis shoes floating in the ditch of Robin Hood Hills. Following this, Sergeant Mike Allen pulled the naked body of a not yet identified child out of the ditch. Soon after, both boys were found. Chris Byers was found with his scrotum gone and penis skin. Stevie Branch and Michael Moore were both found naked and hog-tied with their shoelaces. The investigation was never actually able to be proved who the murderers were. Although there were many suspicions, no one was actually able to prove who committed these murders due to the lack of evidence and not much technology. Everyone was convinced that Miss Kelly, Eccles, and Baldwin were responsible for this. On January 18, 1994, the selection of Jesse Miss Kelly trial began in a 1-story cinder block courthouse in Corinth, Arkansas. In Lauren King's article, The West Memphis Three, Figures Seek Solace in Salem, she says, Jesse Miss Kelly originally confessed to witnessing these 2 others beat and kill 3 boys. Miss Kelly mentally ill has an IQ of 72. He argued that the interrogation techniques made him incapable to think and broke his will. This scared him beyond all measures. Baldwin was sentenced to life plus 40. Only the day before Miss Kelly trial opened, Dan Sennett announced Miss Kelly made a decision last night that he is not going to testify against the defendants. There was a knife found that was used to kill the boys in the lake behind Jason Baldwin's house. Baldwin was sentenced to life without parole. In August of 2011, after serving 17 years behind bars, the West Memphis Three were released from prison. All 3 men had been in prison since 1994, where they were found convicted of killing the 3 boys. In the book, The Devil's Knot, Prompt Investigation, she says, the men are still trying to move on with their lives and finding it more difficult to do so. Jesse Miss Kelly is one of the murderer of West Memphis Three who has maintained a low profile since his release. He lives and works in West Memphis and is reluctant to talk to the media. Damien continues to fight for his exoneration and has traveled and told his story to many. Jason Baldwin, who taught classes to other inmate prisons, helped produce a film about the West Memphis called The Devil's Knot, starring Reese Witherspoon and Colin Firth. He says he'd like to work on the behalf of the wrongly accused and hopes to attend law school one day. In conclusion, I have told you about the West Memphis Three, the investigation, trial, and aftermath. From this speech, I hope you're able to have a better understanding of what happened and to become more interested in the things you have happened near your hometown. So do you know the history of where you live?